Are you available?
I am. Can you guys hear me and see me?
Absolutely. Mr. Jackson, the floor is all yours.
Beautiful. I'm just pulling up my presentation for you really quickly. Thank you guys all for coming onto this call and allowing me to do the presentation with you guys. I'm looking forward to showing it all to you. Oh, there it is. Okay. And showing you the rest. So I got a chance to give you the introduction with Rendezvous. And now I want to show you our flagship. Just get my, I want to make sure I share my screen with you. Let's see. So, okay. Share screen. Go. All right, can you guys see that? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see it. Yes.
Okay, you guys can see that. Okay, beautiful. All right, so then, all right, I'm almost there, I promise. All right. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go into BodyHoliday. So just, all right, so I assume that some of you have heard of BodyHoliday in St. Lucia. It opened in 1986. Okay, for some reason it's not sharing or it's not progressing. Let me just log out of the PowerPoint and go back in really fast. Sorry. I had this problem last time.
No worries, Mr. Jackson. While Mr. Jackson is getting that pulled back up, if we can have everyone go ahead and give Mr. Jackson a warm welcome in the chat box, because we are so lucky to have him back this week, 2 consecutive weeks in a row. So again, we do thank you. Please go ahead, everyone, and welcome Mr. Jackson and hop in the chat box and tell him thank you for coming back.
Thank you for that. Okay, now can you guys see that?
Perfect. Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. So the BodyHoliday did open in 1986. And when it did open, it was actually at a time it was way before its time, in that that was when Jane Fonda was really big and all of that. And wellness, nobody really knew exactly what it was. It hadn't been as clearly identified as it is now for us. So that being said, let's go into it a little bit. One of the biggest differences I'm going to talk to you guys about is that, as I spoke of last week, there's very similar attributes to both of our properties. I'll show you a larger map of the overview of this property. I know it's probably kind of blurry on your screens possibly, but hopefully you'll get the gist of it. So this is a big overview of all of it. So we have several acres, as you can see. So every building you see is part of our resort. The main buildings are here. So that would be number 6, if you guys can see that or see my cursor. That is where majority of the guest rooms are. And then they go all the way down, They go all the way down to the left. So all these other little separate buildings are all guest rooms. And then aside from the majority of the guest rooms, which there's 155 guest rooms total. Of the 155, we have 4 private villas. 2 of them are right here and here, 37 and 38. And they're the easiest ones on property to navigate and get back and forth to the other spaces where the other guests are on the beach, being that they have kind of their own private entrance on the side here. And then the other 2 are larger of the 2. The second to the top is Villa Hibiscus, which is on the far left, as far as you can go, just above the yoga deck there, number 2. That one actually is 3 bedrooms and sleeps 6 people comfortably in it. And it has just spectacular views over the whole resort and the ocean. And then the flagship is Villa Firefly up here. And this one sleeps 10 and has 5 private rooms as well. And then one of those is suites, but just plenty of indoor and outdoor entertainment space. We also do small groups up there and that sort of thing. Up here is, I'm just going to go over some of the attributes real quick. Up here is the tennis courts, all of that sort of thing. The ITEL experience that I'll be talking about, which is our organic gardens, are right up here. And then over here, we do have some English gardens as well. And then the Wellness Center, which is a huge piece of BodyHoliday. When you think about the attributes of what is difference between BodyHoliday and Rendezvous, they both do have spas, but at Rendezvous, it is a supplemental to have spa treatments there, whereas at BodyHoliday, every guest gets a 15-minute spa treatment every single day. And that is the biggest difference because we have 35 treatment rooms within the spa. And so with 155 guests in house, we do 240 spa treatments in one day, every single day. So it's a little bit mind-boggling when you look at those numbers. So I'm going to move on. Again, the map that I showed you guys last one, but just in case there are some people that were not on the last call, this is the whole map of St. Lucia. This is UVF Airport or Hiwanora. And then this is BodyHoliday at the northernmost tip, and we are the furthest north property on the resort. And then Rendezvous is down here. So we're pretty close to one another there. And then I like to show this map so that people can get an idea geographically of where we are in the Caribbean. Looking here, you see this is the southern tip of Florida. And so then when you go down to these other areas here, I've also noted Cuba here, Dominican Republic here, and Puerto Rico, and we are all the way here. So we are actually closer to Venezuela than, we are up here. So part of the reason I also like to show this is because of the hurricanes, because I do get that question a lot about the hurricane patterns, because we're so used to it in the US with the southern tip of Florida and that whole area in the Gulf. We are in a completely separate weather pattern down here south. Technically, we're in the West Indies, but we don't have necessarily a hurricane season. So all the ones that hit up here that we talk about never hit here. We might get rain that day, and that's about it. So going into the pillars of BodyHoliday St. Lucia. It is, of course, about rest and relaxation. We do have a full sleep program, an array of different pillows to choose from, all of that. Therapeutic cares is all about the wellness center, our practitioners, our skin clinic, and all the mindfulness and Ayurvedic wellness that's surrounded around that. And then, of course, activity and fitness classes. And then lastly is nutrition. Nutrition. So we cater to all dietary needs out there, literally. And that is another thing that I like to point out to people. I like to give consultants like yourselves inside scoop. Sometimes I'm kind of selective about who I tell and who I don't tell that everything is organic, because some people that might translate as, oh, it might be bland or it's not really good food. What I will tell you is that every single one of my travelers or guests or people I have on my fam trips, I always ask them how they found us and name one thing that they really remember that was amazing. Food always comes up. The food there is stellar at both of our properties. Going into, and we'll go into that a little bit further. So another thing that's unique to BodyHoliday St. Lucia is our web room. So this is an area, understand before I go into it, this is also an elective. There's nothing that we try to force the guests to do or not do. Almost everything I show you here is an elective, including the use of the web room. The web room is set up basically so that a guest, if they would like to, if they're that A-type individual that wants to plan out every breathing moment of their vacation, go ahead and give them the login credentials for this. So what happens is once you book their booking and you get the confirmation, you're also going to get their credentials for them to log into the web room, where they can schedule all the spa treatments they want, they can do all of their, they can schedule the classes that they want to do, because we do the daily classes are done well in advance. So they can schedule and do everything they want to do, get it into their calendars, and then when they arrive, they kind of know what's happening. Or they don't have to use it at all, and they can have any of these things done in advance. They can call, or they can actually, when they arrive, which I did the first time I arrived, is I just worked with the concierge and planned everything once I got there. So it's up to every guest, but just know that the tool is there, and it is something that a lot of guests that are into that sort of thing really enjoy, and it gets them from asking you so many questions. So the Wellness Center. As I was stating, the largest wellness center in the Caribbean with 33 treatment rooms. It is also home to Pavitra, which was the first Ayurvedic temple outside of India when it was built here on our resort. The wellness center, it has everything from wet rooms where we do full wet services, dry rooms, all for full service spa treatments can be done there. And some of the treatment rooms are actually indoor, outdoor as well. They're really, really amazing. To give you an idea, as I spoke of earlier about the daily spa or wellness treatment that every guest gets, which is 50 minutes. And I also want to make sure that everyone understands that, you know, with doing spa treatments or wellness treatments at that level, a lot of times people get questioned of, you know, how intense are they or how professional are they? Majority of our practitioners have been with us for about 15 years, if not 20. And all of them were trained by us, and they are all the best practitioners on the island. Um, the list that you see here is a list of, it's not all of them, but there's roughly about 14 different treatments to choose from for your daily treatment. So if you have someone that's with us for 14 days, they're not going to get bored with the wellness treatments. I can promise you that. And they are literally that intense and well done if that's exactly what the guest is looking for. We do also have wellness treatments that are supplemental. And as I spoke of when we were talking about Rendezvous last week, supplemental for both of our properties doesn't necessarily mean better or more than what the inclusive options are. It just typically might have a supplemental on it because there's more materials or more practitioners. So for instance, here, if you are in Pavitra and you had a wellness treatment there, and you had the Ayurvedic treatment where they drip the oil into your third eye on your forehead, that takes 2 practitioners plus all the materials with the oil and all of that. But understand that even with the supplementals, the supplemental on that would be like maybe $65. Maybe our highest supplementals are probably like 110. So in the scheme of things, and actually it's funny, had lunch with someone today that was leaving our lunch and having a spa treatment for 60 minutes in Chicago, and he said he paid 210 for it. So it is much, much less than what we would pay in the States for wellness treatments, and likely not at the same expertise. So on to some of the fitness. We have a full staff we have our bodyguards, just like we spoke of at Rendezvous, which are kind of like our activity coaches, if you will, but they also are fitness specialists and experts. But then we also do have trainers as well that are all trained in whether it be nutrition or muscle and soft tissue to bone, all of that. And all of them are basically either in school or have graduated, but they're definitely at the top of their game and have selected fitness as their career. So the body science, this is also another thing that's very unique to BodyHoliday that we do not have at Rendezvous, and actually I don't think any other wellness resort has. The wellness center encompasses different areas. One is, of course, the wellness center where everyone gets their wellness treatments. 2 is we have basically the skin clinic where people can go in and get facials, manicures, pedicures, blowouts, all of that. And we sell, you know, the best of like skin SkinCeuticals and all kinds of products and everything in there. So it's like a full salon. And then we also do have the body science program. In the body science program, basically, if someone wants to do that and just go do the full wallop, what that is basically someone saying, okay, I have decided that I want to figure out how to live my best wellness life. So I'm coming here for you to tell me how to do that. So we have an MD on staff, we have nurses on staff, we have everything from all kinds of different practitioners. And they put the guests through a battery of tests, and there's tons of them, everything from taking blood and everything short of water displacement. They do. And then what they do is, as a team, our team of practitioners come together, they have a meeting, they figure out everything, and then they have a meeting with the guest and sit down with them. And what's really interesting about it is that we do Eastern and Western medicine. So what we're doing is making recommendations that will be, you know, advantageous for them to take advantage of to live the best life. And so it could be everything from dietary, it can be everything from, you might want to see a chiropractor, or you might want to pick up yoga or Reiki or what have you. And then they work them through all of those processes. The whole treatment is about $2,000 supplemental. It is obviously our largest supplemental, but we, believe it or not, after COVID, we do get a lot of inquiries on that and a lot of guests that do take us up on it, and rave about having the ability, because as we all know, in the United States, we go straight to the Western medicine, which a lot of times it would be medications, whereas Eastern is less medication, more about balance. So going into food and drink, let me just check my time. Okay, we're good. Food and drink. So we have 5 full restaurants at BodyHoliday. The reason I say 6 is there's one that's kind of in a little extra space I'll talk about. So the first one is Caribou. And Caribou is our primary restaurant where you would go for breakfast every single day. It's open air. It's really, really beautiful space. And that literally is a view from there. And breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Then also we do dinners in there as well. And so for dinners, it is literally linen tablecloths. All the place setting you see there is how it is for every meal in that restaurant. And then we have the clubhouse. The clubhouse is kind of like the heart of the property. It's in the center of our beach in our cove. And the space you see there with all the furniture, that gets moved out for the evening where we do dancing and entertainment and all of that. But just beyond that bar, that is the beach. So to the right, if you go beyond the bar to the beach and then to the right, that is where the volleyball net is set up, where every night there's a pickup volleyball game that happens with the guests. Every single night I've been there, and I've been there, I'm going on my 8th trip now since August. So there's always a volleyball game every night that guests really enjoy, or tug of war. And then over to the area here, which is basically in the mornings when you're in Caribou for breakfast. This is where you come to grab your breakfast foods. We use the space for double duty. So right now it is set for dinner, but right now we'll talk about breakfast. So they have the cooled stations here, and then right back here towards the left, that is actually where the chef is set up, where they do eggs every single way. Like I have eggs Benedict every morning while I'm there. And then all the bread items and all of that are here. Even the breads are baked every single morning, and we have upwards of about 15, 20 different types of breads and muffins and stuff that they bake every single day. Because, for instance, like the pancake station, every day there's a pancake station. There's about 9 different types of pancakes, and you go through every single type of this free, that free, chocolate chip, whatever, before you get to a basic pancake. So it is really, really true that we cater to everything. And then here I like to show this image because it shows the double duty of this building here, just to the right of the clubhouse area. Upstairs here is Tao Restaurant. Perhaps you guys have heard of Tao. That's in Vegas. There's one in New York. There's one in Chicago. And there is one in St. Lucia at BodyHoliday. Down below is the Wellness Cafe. And that is the extra little space I was talking about, that a lot of guests actually, it should be another restaurant because a lot of guests really do enjoy it for a nice casual lunch during the day. But that is your one place where all day long, anytime during the day, you can always grab a bite to eat or what have you. And then also to the left, that is kind of like our Starbucks. We can get lattes, cappuccinos, Americanas, all of that. This area also does service the beach area. So one of my favorite things to do there when I'm laying out is to have lunch on the beach in my chair. And they do these great bento boxes where they do one that's tuna, and then they also do one that's called the West Indies. But it has fresh tuna, a couple rolls and some maki in it, but really, really well done considering you're eating on a beach where most places you probably would have like a sandwich. So on to Tao up on the upper level, seeing it in the evening. It is definitely a fine dining experience. The guests really enjoy that we have two fine dining experiences out of the restaurants there, because a lot of the guests like to dress up for the evening, a couple evenings while they're with us. Um, and so the two fine dinings would be this one, which is Tao, and forgive me, I'm going to zap through really quick. Okay, and then this space here doubles, as I spoke of earlier, as Cara Blue windows is what we call it. And that's what it's set up for right now, which is basically more like a chef's table experience. So we never have more than 20 guests there per evening. And it is a prefixed menu. It's usually anywhere from 6 to 8 courses and always comes with either a wine pairing or a rum pairing. And again, all of the wines and everything are top shelf wines, and liqueurs are all included, of course, at BodyHoliday. But of course, the pairings that we do here come straight from our sommeliers. So we have a team of 3 different sommeliers, and so they do the custom pairings for each meal each evening in Caribou Windows. So going on to the ITAL experience, which is definitely one of the favorites at the resort, and definitely one of the most talked about and memorable, I would say. So let me look at my time really fast. Okay, so our owner actually went over to India and went to a garden very similar to this, and felt very much inspired to do one at the resort. And so when they did it, which was easily about 15, 20 years ago, he also brought in this couple here, which are farmers that take care of our garden. Their one responsibility is managing the garden, which is a huge responsibility. This garden actually provides 70% of the food for both BodyHoliday and Rendezvous. So with the ITAL experience, what happens is you meet the chef in the lobby of the hotel, and then you take a little hike with him or a walk up the hill. And he takes you up through the gardens, this picture here on the right. It's tiered as they used to do way back when up the hills. And he teaches you about the fruits and vegetables and everything that we grow there, and then also about the process. Even like all of the leftovers from all of the restaurants ends up in the compost every evening and things like that. Like we are literally our own system here. And as he educates you on all the items in here, we're also harvesting as you go up the hill. And then once you get to the hill, you get up here to the top left here of this picture. And this is our outdoor kitchen, where there's a 8-person table there, a big communal table. And the chef and team actually make dinner or lunch. We also do lunches now because it's become so popular. We do lunches during the day. But the view up there is absolutely spectacular, and the food is amazing. It is vegetarian, but I will say that a lot of carnivorous guests that have been up there have really said it's the best they've ever had. Definitely suggest that. But I will say that this is also a supplemental experience, and it is $65 a head. So again, that is pretty reasonable when you think about it. So on to our accommodations. So of course, Wi-Fi. Let me address that and some of the accoutrements in the rooms. There is Wi-Fi, just like at Rendezvous, there is Wi-Fi available, but strategically throughout the resort. There's 3 strategic areas where it will work. Will be within your guest room, will be within the lobby, and then will also be within the library, which is an air-conditioned indoor space right beyond the clubhouse. So that guests can work or do whatever they want to do. But again, we just want to keep guests from necessarily bringing out laptops on the beach or in the wellness center and that sort of thing. It's kind of frowned upon, as is speakerphone. So let's go into the rooms. So I'm going to take you guys on a little journey from our entry-level room all the way up. And so this is our entry-level room. And the reason why I always like to really highlight these. So this is a professional picture on the left, but the picture on the right is actually a picture I took from my phone my last stay. I've been on the 7 stays I've been on, I've tried 7 different types of rooms. So I got to try this one, and I don't think that's a very bad room considering this is entry level. What's nice about these rooms also is that They are what we like to highlight for our solo travelers because um, if you have a solo traveler that might be a little bit price sensitive and doesn't want to go with a standard guest room, of course, solos can have standard guest rooms, but if they're price sensitive, these we set up differently where they do not have a supplemental for a second person. And so the pricing is set appropriately for just one person. So for instance, on my first stay in August 21st, 2021, August 16th, I went and I got to know a guest really well that was staying in one of these rooms from DC. And she said at the time her rate was around like the mid 600s, which is really quite reasonable when you think about all the things that are included. And compared to that in a standard, if you go into a standard room, then she would probably have paid 50, 60, $70 more. So going into the oceanfront rooms, the majority of the rooms are more like this. The rooms are very, very large in size when you look at US standards, or at least in my head, being a Chicagoan. They're probably about 550 to 600 square feet. Tons of storage, always have a refrigerator, fully stocked. Great amenities, even the bath amenities are living West Indies, so they're a nod to like all the ingredients came off of the island. And really, really nice products, botanical as well. Of course, everything we have or anything that you're going to use at the hotel is always going to be as organic as possible. Um, and then going into the grand luxury oceanfront room. So these are clearly the most popular and most requested. They are all in the same building, and these are the ones you probably see the most in the images with the giant round tubs. And literally all of the rooms, except for some of the solos, do have outdoor space as well. This is the penthouse suite. Um, we are probably going to renovate this room and figure out something else with the space. We haven't figured it out yet, but the two Oasis suites I'm about to show you have kind of superseded this space. It's still an amazing space, but I think that sometimes for guests that are looking for a different experience, I think that I would probably suggest one of the junior suites in the Oasis suites. Oops, sorry. Okay, so So these are the Oasis villas. So there are two of these, and they're side by side. So the pink one is right behind the one you're looking at here. The upper deck is the junior suite, and the lower deck is more of like the presidential of the two. I know that seems a little backwards, but I'll explain why. So basically, one thing that I want to point out is that you cannot go in between the two units inside. You can only do that from outside, so that we have the ability to put two separate guests in the two different suites. But the big difference between the two is that the feature of the junior suite is obviously this giant terrace up high, and the views are amazing. But then here on the presidential side suite, this bump out is to accommodate the kitchen. And then on the opposite side, you'll see that there's a private plunge pool that's private to just that suite. So this kind of gives you the specs on it. There's two of them. Both of them are 2 bedrooms. And all of our private villas all have dedicated personal concierge services. And so in essence, that is butler service. And even to the degree that they will actually transport you up and down the hill if you don't feel like walking. And this gives you just more of a close-up. And the interior showing you the kitchen. You can have chefs come in and arrange for us to bring you any groceries, any of those things, but also have the chefs come in and cook any meals or do any meal functions for you. And then the decor, of course. Just very, very tastefully done. And the views are just unparalleled, as you can see. It literally does look and feel like that there. I like to show this one because it kind of shows you the other buildings up the hill. So this kind of shows you the main building here. And then even over here, if you can see a small there, that is actually Villa Hibiscus just across the way. And then down below to your left, that is, of course, it's overlooking the beach. There's one of the private plunge pools. And then the upper terrace. Okay, so we're in the home stretch, you guys, so hang in there with me. We're almost there. Villa Hibiscus, as I spoke of earlier, so this is of the 2 premier top villas. The interiors here, I just think this one is just absolutely beautiful. The only difference with this one, though, is that it doesn't have a pool. One question I do get a lot about any of the villas is people say, when do you decide to get a villa or not? Typically, I tell my clients that if you're talking about a group of rooms that are 4 to 5 and definitely at 6, depending on the time of year, you could be looking at private villas, because one of the unique things about our villas, specifically this one and Firefly, is that we can have each one of the rooms has a door key and electric key system, just like the regular rooms in the main buildings. So we can have one room within this whole villa, and one guest could have it to themselves. And actually, when I was there the first time, there was someone here convalescing for about 2 months after a surgery by themselves, and a nurse. So that's also very easy to do. Or we could have separate people, like 2 different groups of people within the private villa, and they could share the space if they would like to. Obviously, we have that conversation with them and make sure that that's clear with them. But I mean, it's a pretty spectacular way to stay and then still have all the services within the resort. The kitchen space, more of the lanai there. And then Villa Firefly. Um, Take note of the large yard on the bottom right. That grass, sometimes the manager cocktail receptions that we do on Wednesday nights, if the villa is open, we will do them up there, and we will bus all the guests up there, and we can have all the guests on the front lawn of this villa. And then the outdoor space, you could easily have 50, 60 people hanging out, having meals and all of that. It's enormous. And just really, really beautiful decor and everything. We do a lot of yoga retreats there, a lot of multi-generational families that will take the suite, and then also even have a series of rooms so they can do some private stuff together in the villa. And then of course this one does have a private pool as well. So going into the activities, literally the big thing to remember about BodyHoliday is that, look, there are a lot of resorts that do activities, but what makes us unique is there is no other wellness resort that does wellness to the degree that we do, and also does activity to the degree that we do. And 2 ways that we do wellness or activity to the degree is that, A, you name it, we have it. So if you have someone that's really into CrossFit and goes 5 days a week, they're going to get a good workout with us. You have someone that never goes to the gym or has never been, that wants to try it out and is curious and wants a safe place to do it, we're an excellent place for that too. And I'm seeing a higher and higher increase of more and more people coming for wellness. While we're here, I also will address, because it comes up a lot, so I'm just going to throw it right out on the table. A lot of people ask me all the time, do you have to be super fit, and does everybody, does every guest have like an amazing body and all of that? The answer to that question is absolutely not. Yes, there are a few people that, are definitely well into their fitness. Majority of the people you see here are the same people that you would see if you glanced into any mall in the United States. And so again, we want to really provide a space where you can have an amazing vacation, but also if you are interested in changing your wellness, you can also do that there. And it doesn't necessarily mean just weight. Like that. It can be anything. And also looking at some of the activities like the water sports, everything from water skiing. We have knee boards. You can do one-legged skiing. We have basically everything you can think of in that regard, and none of it has a charge. I just realized that one of our competitors on the island, every time that the boat takes you on a water ski run, there's a fee of like $20. I didn't even realize others did that. We do not. And there's even aerial yoga and other stuff. So I know this is a really hard slide to look at, but the reason I have it is so you can see every single day in the clubhouse, the bodyguards go in and they write down exactly what's happening tomorrow. And so everyone, when they're having cocktails and all that, they take a picture of it before they go up to their room. I know it's a lot to look at, but I'm just going to tell you, basically the breakdown is 4 activities per hour from 7 o'clock until 4 o'clock every single day, which is roughly 40 to 43 or something activities a day. And they change every single day. So again, you never run out of anything to do. And if you let's say you go to a yoga class and you're the only one that shows up, you get to have a one-on-one yoga class. They show up for every single class, and the only time we would ever cancel anything would be maybe for rain or something like that. So of course there are plenty of adventures off of the resort as well. Our team does everything. So if you were to book a guest with us, it would make sense or be easier on you guys to work with our team to do the transportation to and from, whether that be helicopter or car. But then any excursions off the island to volcanoes and all of that, I would suggest working with us only because it makes sense, because we work with the best of the suppliers and vendors on the island. And that's the best way for us to ensure the quality of the experience. And then we're almost there. Some of the theme months, obviously, there's a lot of them. I will just highlight the ones that are most popular, which is June Jive for sure. Well-fed families is huge. We do lower the age down to 14 rather than 18 for families. September Solos is probably one of the biggest. June Jive and Solos are the biggest. September Solos is basically like, I don't know, it's where people are looking to meet that person. And then October Yoga is actually pretty popular as well. And then we'll go, this kind of goes into some of the sailing lessons and things like that. But there's just a ton of programming available so that you're not going to run out of ideas. I like to highlight this slide because, of course, this says Alfred in the picture, our pianist. He's been there since BodyHoliday opened. And what's unique about the piano bar is that it does not shut down until the last guest leaves. So every time I'm there for a fam, I'm usually there to at least 2 o'clock, 2:30. So with that, because I went over a little bit, I'm going to come back on screen and I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys may have. And I will stay on as long as you guys have questions, but obviously I'm not going to ask you to stay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. You did not just present, but you gave us the experience of being there. So we do appreciate that. I know I can't wait to visit myself. Let me get my video on. So at this time, I would like for everyone to put their emails in the chat box. If your name does not have your first and last name in your, as your pop-up for your Zoom name, please go ahead, make sure you include that other than your email so I can make sure I get those to Mr. Jackson. If you were here last weekend and you did put your email in, don't worry about putting it in there. If you're not sure, go ahead and put it in there for them. So again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, Mr. Jackson will stick around for a few minutes to get those answered. So please go ahead and do so and put those questions in there.
And I'll, while you guys are putting those in, I'll also tell you guys, because I do get the question a lot about agent rates. We are very, very, very dedicated to the agent community. And I have yet to actually tell any agent no. And typically, I will say that, again, because we are all inclusive, I know it is definitely, it's more than you guys are accustomed to having to pay. But the most I've ever had to quote was $350. We have been flexible depending on the season that you're looking for. It just depends. And what I'm talking about is, like, I did have some agents recently that I set up that work for the same agency that wanted to come together and actually share. We typically want, when agents come, we want them to experience it as a guest would. But we're able to let them share, and I think we got it into like the 260, 270 range. So there's some flexibility, and I always try to get you guys in because I know that's the best way for you guys to really sell us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. So you mentioned the web was a way to plan their vacation out before they get there. Mm-hmm. That's accessible to them immediately after they book?
After you book, yes. Once you get the confirmation, then and here's the thing, you guys, so it's up to you guys. I do have some agents that are really, really high touch that like to book stuff for them, and they actually charge them a supplement. That's, if you guys want to talk about that later, we can have another call. But so there are some that do that, and then there's others that like to share it with them because they know their client would really enjoy it and get into it. But yeah, you actually get the credentials with the confirmation, and then once they log in, the only thing that they're not allowed or they're not able to do is you cannot book reservations in Caribou Windows or in Tau till 7 days prior to your arrival, which obviously makes sense. I will
Yes.
also say that the reason for the reservations is not about you're not going to be able to get in. It's more about, again, us regulating that everyone gets an opportunity to dine once before people can go back twice. That's why we do that. And after that, it's a free flow. But hopefully that answers your
Awesome.
question.
Yes, yes, thank you. So referring to weddings, do you have a wedding planner on site?
We do. We do have a wedding planner on site. And we have a lot of, I will suggest, like just similar to Rendezvous, if you go to our website and go under some of our special experiences, that's where you can see a lot of those. And we have a special experiences director. And I can just go into some of those things, which are really quite cool. I've done a few of them. One of them was like, they'll do, what is this? It's a campfire on the beach. But they'll come and set up a campfire, and then they bring out this furniture that's like beanbag furniture, but it's a couch, it's a love seat, it's a coffee table, all of that. They put a tablecloth on it, and then they bring out this huge platter with graham crackers and the marshmallows and the Hershey bars, so you can do s'mores on the beach. And it was really, really quite cool, and the fire burned for hours. But there's everything from that to lots of sunset cruises, because we do have 3 boats. Like, I've only given you guys a scratch of the surface. We have 3 boats, including a deep sea fisherman boat and a yacht. So people can do the sunset cruise by themselves and have dinner on the boat if they'd like to do something like that. Tons of couples experiences, and understand that all of those are, of course, in this day and age, very, very Instagrammable and social media. Like, they're very, very spectacular experiences and memorable.
I'm awesome. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. You're painting the picture for us, most definitely.
Yeah, we have gazebos everywhere in the gardens. Like, you would not have to go anywhere for the full album of wedding photos there.
Awesome.
Seriously.
So to book, do we go straight through you guys or do we go through a tour operator?
I'm so glad you asked me that, Erica. That is a good thing to talk about. So we used to work with a lot of tour operators up until 2022. This year when we contracted, I mean, there were 2 reasons, and again, I won't go real deep, but basically, obviously, when we did shut down temporarily during COVID, when we had to cancel out our reservations and then rebook them, we found it really, really difficult. That was the first time we had ever closed since the history of the hotel. It was really difficult to rebook those guests that were booking at a different season, and the pricing had changed. That whole process with the tour operators proved to be too much for us to bear. Plus, right now they also wanted too high margins. So what that looks like to you guys is that now we wanted to push the bookings direct through the agent community. So you come to us direct, and we pass on that margin to you guys, and now we pay you guys 15% commission. And so that is the big difference. So to answer your question, the short answer is book with us direct. There are a couple tour operators out there, I believe, but really booking us direct is really the way we prefer it. And the best way to get the full, so the regular commission is 12%. If you're an SSP member, which is Sunswept Specialist Program, our agent program, then you get boosted up to the 15%. So that's why I always try to recommend everyone do that.
Awesome, awesome. So that leads to the next question. How do we access BodyHoliday? Is there an actual link?
A link to a booking link?
Yes.
No, we do not have a booking link. Unfortunately, probably the easiest way would be to call, unfortunately. And once we get it booked, then all of the other stuff, you know, we can work with you on that. Most of it happens via email and things like that. Post booking, you can certainly reach out to me, of course, as well, and I would just forward you on to the team, of course. But you can certainly reach out to the team direct. But we have what we call our pre-arrivals concierge team. It is basically like our own in-house res team that is on property, and they're excellent. I will say they're literally the best I've ever seen. And that's what you wouldn't be much better served working with them than me. Put it that way. I don't know all the details like they do.
Awesome. Okay. So I would like to know how to approach this resort to a family of a high school
Mhm.
that's in high school.
Oh, a family that's in high school. Okay. So how old are the children?
If you can follow back around, Chris, with
Um,
that
well,
question.
regardless, I can just speak in general. So
Okay.
basically, um, if our age is 18 years old, we do lower it for well-fit families if they're lower, if they're younger, down to 14. And then we also do lower it down to 14 for festive season, which basically is November through January. And I will also say we're not really, really hard nosed about that. Um, I have seen children there that might be a little bit younger, but um, it just depends. They need to be on the cusp though. Like you're never going to see toddlers, but if they're on the cusp, sometimes we can let it slide. And also if there's low occupancy. But are you asking questions about like what to do, or is it more just in general how to book, or is that going to work for a family?
I'm assuming just by just my intuition, I'm assuming considering that the resort is known for, I guess, wellness itself, just bringing a group of family in there
Oh yeah.
pretty much. So,
Well, yeah, and here's one of the most unique things about it, and maybe this will answer the question, is that it is very, like, a lot of times people will ask me, what is the demographic there? And actually, if you look around, there isn't a demographic. It is more of a psychographic. And when I say it's a psychographic, what I'm saying is that you have everything from, I would say, young 20 something year olds, 21-year olds, 22-year olds that are newlyweds. Last time I was there, I met some that were like 22, and they had gotten the trip as a gift from his uncle. And then we have guests that are 85, 90. And so we do see a lot of multi-generation travel where you have grandma and grandpa and then their kids and then the grandkids and then everybody in tow. We see a lot of that. But when I say the psychographic, it's like somebody out of that group is probably there for wellness or has like a goal in mind. And the great thing about it is that you can have all those other people in tow and they're going to have just as much fun and enjoy themselves, even though you might have something more serious that you might want to be working on there. And that's the unique thing about it, is that you can do like I've done girlfriend trips where there's 6 girls and only 2 of them are really doing, and the rest of them just want to lay out on the beach and drink all day, and you can do that. And that's the other thing I like to tell everyone, is that when we say wellness center, people get scared that, oh, maybe there's not going to be any booze, or it's going to be kind of, the thing is we believe that wellness is what you decide it is. And so if wellness to you is laying out all day, drinking Mai Tais and smoking cigarettes, you can do it, but you got to smoke in the smoking area for one. But then also it's that we will allow you to do that, but there's just a couple rules involved. But we're not restrictive. We're all about allowing indulgence. Not even allowing, just here it is, you have at it. Even the desserts are in smaller sizes, where we're used to everything being like a giant piece of chocolate cake and all that. They're smaller sizes, but if you want 6 of them, have at it. So it just depends.
love it, absolutely love it. So the next question is, how can I become a specialist now?
Of
And
course.
I,
So to become an SSP specialist, I'm going to pull it up right now on my other screen, but I'm not going to share it. I just want to look at it. But I know that if you go into, like, let's say either the BodyHoliday website or the Rendezvous website, if you go all the way down to the bottom, you will see there should be a little circle logo that says SSP in it, and just click that. And I've actually signed up myself, and before I started, I did really kind of vet the program, because I was like, I don't want to promote it if it's not good. And it is actually one of the better ones I've worked with, as far as it's easy to sign up for, it's easy to work with.
and I did put the link in the chat box for those who
Okay,
were
good.
wondering the exact link. So I did
I
put that
can
in.
send you a link as well too. So
Perfect.
yeah, any
All
other
right.
questions?
Going once, going twice.
Please reach out to me. Don't hesitate to reach out if you guys need anything. And if you ever have something urgent, I do travel a lot and I'm running around a lot. feel free to text me. If anything, I can at least put someone on the team in touch with you to get whatever you need.
Awesome. Are there COVID restrictions?
There are, but they're pretty light. So basically, right now, it is, and there is also, I can send you the link for that too, which is great because they do update it so much that I send out the link a lot for the St. Lucia Authority. But basically, you do not have to have tests or anything. All you need to have is proof of vaccination or not. So even if you are not vaccinated, you are allowed on the island of St. Lucia. There are some restrictions with that. Basically, the big thing is that you won't get your bracelet. And if you do not have a bracelet, you cannot leave your COVID certified hotel, and you cannot do any COVID certified activities. Like you could go to like the volcano experience, I believe is COVID certified, but that's probably the biggest thing. Most guests do not actually do those. Hopefully that answers it.
Perfect. All right. So our last question, and I actually just put it in the chat box for those who are wanting your information, was what is your contact information? So I just dropped that in the chat box. So take a screenshot, whatever you need to get that saved.
Fabulous. And I will tell you guys too, because I'm in the midst of planning one, is the FAMs. When I do my FAMs, which that's what all these 7 trips have been, most of them, but 5 of them have been FAMs, we pull the names out of the SSP program first. So we always pull from the SSP program first, our specialists. And then what you'll do is you'll get an invite, and basically what it is are you interested? And then you have to answer a few questions just about, just simple questions about the type of clients that you book and things like that. And then we get back to you if you were selected. But they're definitely amazing to go on. The last one I did a month ago, they literally, most of the agents on there, they said, Randall, this is the best FAM I've ever been on. Like, this was amazing. I feel so relaxed. I'm not going to run you guys around. I actually want you to get
Love it. Love it. So we had another question roll in. What is the typical cost for a week?
Typical cost for a week. I mean, it does vary a lot, but I can definitely give you some scope. I will, let's see, I can talk about bookings that I've worked with. We had one booking that I followed from start to finish when I first started, just to see how the process worked. He was a solo traveler. He stayed over festive season. He stayed basically, and I think it was a little over 2 weeks. So I want to say maybe 14 to 17 days. And his trip was $13,000. He stayed in a grand luxury oceanfront. So he was basically at the big round bathtub. He was in that standard guest room. And so there was only a suite level above that before you go into villas.
Wow.
I will say for couples, when I see couples, typically like in let's just say a luxury oceanfront, couples, it's probably going to be around for like, let's say 2 weeks. It seems like it's probably around 13, low teens to mid 18s, like 13 to 15, 16, just depending. There are seasons like August where it goes down a lot. Like the girl I was with from DC, when she got that rate in the 600s in a solo room, it was August, the end of August. So it just kind of depends, but I also can direct you guys on that. But understand when we talk rates, I'm pulling up the website just like you are, because there's no add-ons or anything. What you see there quoted is with tax, everything. It is all in, and it's all inclusive. There's no other fees aside from that.
Well, I must say, I can't wait to experience it for myself. And I know there are some agents on this call that are right along with me. So you have lots of can't wait to get there. And so we do appreciate you, Mr. Jackson, again, for gracing us with your time for one, and just taking us through the whole experience, because it was not a presentation, it was an experience. So we do thank you. If I could have everyone just hop in the chat box and thank Mr. Jackson for hopping on with us this evening. And Mr. Jackson, if you have any last minute words, please go ahead.
And my final word, I just want to say that thank you guys again. And also, I know that a lot of you guys are new. And I just want to tell you how happy I am to see new faces and new people coming to the industry. 3, 4, 5 years ago, we were all saying, who are we going to pass the baton to? And I'm so glad to see that so many people have started to be interested in travel. It's just sad that it took what happened to get there, but so glad that you guys are here and you will love it. Thanks again, and I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Thank you so much. On behalf of our One Star Platinum, this webinar is officially over. Thank you again.
Cheers. Thank you.